Hello friends, very good afternoon to all of you. The Rohtak's exam called IPMAT Rohtak has just been completed today being 17th of July 2021. I have been quickly able to put together the paper that has come out. Obviously, it's not officially released yet, but with my interaction with the students, I've been able to put together the type of paper that has come, the difficulty level based on my interaction with a lot of students. So I'm going to make a very quick video of 10 minutes to help you understand what could be the potential cutoffs. So let's move ahead and try to get to that point. But before that, a very brief introduction of myself. I am Srinivas Akapeddi. I am one of the current directors of Career Launcher Bangalore. I'm also a career mentor. I train students in the area of aptitude, maths, and logic, to be very precise. I've been doing this for the last 14 years. All right, so let's take a look at what happened in this year's IPMAT Rohtak. So IPMAT Rohtak this year, like Indore, that happened yesterday. Yesterday was 16th July, so the exams happened back to back. This was also a computer-based test. Everybody knew that. The pattern was very similar to 2019. So while Indore continued with the 2020 pattern of only 90 minutes, Rohtak went back to the 2019 pattern of 2 hours. So they conducted their normal exam and they conducted the full 2-hour exam. We will see the number of questions in the next slide. One thing to be noted, we were expecting a sectional time limit. However, Rohtak did not give a sectional time limit this year. In fact, I remember reading it on their website that there will be a sectional time limit. They put it across some time back, but however, in the exam, actually there was no sectional time limit, which means the student could go from one section to the other within the 2 hours without any restriction. So the good point about this is students could have spent more time on their sections of strength. They could have made sure that some basic easy questions are done from the sections of their weakness. That's a good point about this. Reportedly, there were no technical issues. The exam was conducted smoothly. The results are expected to be out by the 3rd week of July or probably the 4th week. So the last 5 days of this month, we can expect the results. The interviews will be conducted online, and I'm expecting the interview dates to start coming out from August 1st week onwards. I don't expect too much of time between the results and the interview. So those of you who are thinking of getting a seat or who are confident of getting a seat based on my analysis right now, please start thinking about your interviews because you will not have too much of time post the result. Okay, so what happened in the exam per se? So the exam was 3 sections: maths, logic, and English. Maths is 40 questions, English is 40 questions, logic is 40 questions. Overall time was 120 minutes. The marking scheme was +4 if you get something right and -1 if you get something wrong. And this was pretty standard. So obviously you cannot guess randomly, right? So this is how it was. The quant, you can see a lot of topics have been covered in quant. However, the data interpretation, usually we expect 5 questions of DI. That was missing in this year. But you can see a plethora of topics have been covered under quant. Now, in my last 1-2 hours of interaction with the students, this is what I could put together. Now, when you can see that time and distance is 3 to 4. No, I was not really sure whether it was 3 questions or 4 questions because some students were saying 3, some students were saying 4. So wherever I was not sure, I just put in a number. This is indicative of the number of questions that have come. But just take a look at it. We have number systems, time and work, time and distance, averages, probability, geometry, profit and loss, percentages, clocks, ratio proportions. I mean, look at the sheer volume of the topics. This goes on to say that your breadth in Rohtak is a lot more. Your breadth in Rohtak is a lot more, but the depth will not be much. The questions in comparison with Indore, the question difficulty will be easier here. Whereas in comparison to the vastness of the topic, vastness of the subject, with respect to Indore, actually it will be a lot more. You can see my Indore analysis and you'll notice that the Indore question paper did not have so many topics coming to you. Whereas here we have a lot of topics from various areas. And remember guys, this is not taking into account higher maths. Higher maths does not exist in your Rohtak. Whereas Indore, including higher maths, the topics are not these. All right, so that's what basically happened. The questions, the difficulty level of questions in maths were moderate level to easy level. Probably one or two questions were difficult, but they were meant to be left. But overall, the paper was easy, or you can call it as moderate. Between, it is not really easy. It was not fully moderate. Also, it is in between them. That's how, or that's what I figured out when I spoke to the students. Let's move on to the second part, which is your logical reasoning. And in logical reasoning also, the type of questions, there are a lot of different types of questions that have come. And here, the questions are not very difficult, but the thing that happened in the logical reasoning was it was a bit tricky. There were traps laid for students who were not really careful. So that's how the questions were designed. It is not that it is difficult or lengthy here. It was a small thing you have to keep in mind. If you don't keep that in mind, you might end up with the wrong answer. And technically, they'll give you option A or option B as a wrong answer, so that you see that first and you mark it first. So such things happened in this section. Students have to should have been careful in this. It is not difficult at all, but tricky. Look at the type of questions that have come. And in fact, I would want you to notice on strong and weak argument, statement conclusion, statement assumption, all of this come under critical reasoning. Critical reasoning is a part of, I don't know whether you can call it English logic mixed. You need to understand English, only then your critical reasoning will be better. But the volume of questions that came from this area is probably around 6 to 9 questions, which is not a small number at all. So almost on an average, you can see around 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6 questions to maximum 9. So 6 to 9 questions have come from critical reasoning. That's a huge deal. Those of you who are preparing for 22 and you're looking at this video, remember, this is an area which you cannot let go easily. Of course, apart from that, your traditional logic like series and coding, decoding, blood relations, age-related questions, direction sense, inequalities. Inequalities is not the mathematical inequalities you're talking about here. The inequalities here talking about age or heights. Ram is elder to Sham. Sham is younger than Raghu, or Raghu is taller than Ibrahim, and so on and so forth. That kind of questions here. This is not the maths inequality we're talking about. Syllogisms. Syllogisms are the questions which talk about all A's are B's, all B's are C's, those type of questions. Normally we expect 1 or 2, but this time we had 3 or 4 questions. So syllogism made a strong comeback in this year's logical reasoning. Parajumbles, this is expected. We were expecting around 3 to 4, so the same number of questions have come. Then your traditional seating arrangements, analogies, data sufficiency, clocks and calendars. Data sufficiency is another, not a surprise, but yeah, 3 questions, 2 to 3 questions. Data sufficiency is something which is, if you haven't practiced, then it is actually data sufficiency, whether you practice or not, it's always tricky. These are always tricky area. And those of you who would have solved data sufficiency sufficiently till now, you would realize that even an easy question in data sufficiency, you can end up making questions purely by the nature of the topic itself. So as a all in all, I would say the logical reasoning, if you go question by question, it is not difficult at all. It is easy to moderate. The problem in this section being that the type of questions that they give, like critical reasoning, data sufficiency, syllogisms, these inherently are tricky. These are inherently tricky. It's not that the examiner want to put a trick there. These are inherently tricky topics. Apart from that, the normal questions are also a little bit tricky, because of which the students, I would assume, would find it easier, but you might end up making mistakes that you do not realize. Okay, so that's how this topic was. Let's move on to the next topic, which is your English. And again, English had a lot of questions coming in, a lot of types of questions coming in. We had 2 RCs of 5 questions each, totaling to 10 questions. Then we had a short passage of 2 questions, fill in the blanks, synonyms, antonyms. Then we have sentence improvement, idioms and phrases, error spotting, which is your grammar, sentence rearrangement, which is your parajumbles, spotting error, which is again your grammar, sorry, this is your spelling error. Spelling error. Okay, very interesting, guys. Nobody learns, at least I don't know too many spellings, because nowadays in the age of technology, what's the big deal of spelling? You type any spelling which is nearby to a word, and Google or Word document will help you understand what is the correct spelling. Nevertheless, we still keep getting sent spelling errors in the competitive exams. I don't know for what reasons, but yes, that has come. And we can't help it, but thankfully only one question has come. Then we have sentence completion and para jumbles once again. So para jumbles, if you can look at sentence rearrangement and para jumbles together, you can talk about four of these. In these two, if I put together, you'll be getting four. Then you have analogies in verbal ability. In fact, you can see that the questions here were not difficult at all. They were not even tricky. The problem was you need to be in English. You need to be well versed with the breadth of the topics. A lot of such type of questions you should be aware of. At least what does it mean? How to do it? Parajumble. Various types of idioms and phrases. Again, they were not difficult, but you should have heard even the basics of idioms and phrases once in your life to understand that this is easy or what is the meaning of this. The fill in the blanks were also not very difficult. The reading comprehension was easy to understand. In fact, the entire section was not at all difficult. Unlike your logic, it was not even tricky. It was pretty straightforward. So I expect a lot of students to score good marks in the verbal ability section. Okay, so overall cutoff expected would be your EWS category, general category, NCOBC. So these are in comparison to 2019 marks. I have made the changes with respect to 2019 cutoffs and put it over here. This is not 2019 cutoffs at all. This is what my expectation is for 2021. But I'm using the benchmark of 2019. With respect to that paper, I'm comparing this paper and I've put up this cutoffs. So you can see, depending upon which category you belong to, these are the various cutoff marks that I am expecting will be required. Coupled with, this is not enough, coupled with your 10th and 12th score. Remember guys, IPM Rohtak has a weightage for 10th and 12th also. So the way to read this table for you to understand is, if you get a minimum of 10th 70 and 12th 70, and you're expecting a score of 220 to 230 under the EWS category, then you can be fairly certain that you can get a call. Similarly, if you're crossing 85.5 and 86.5 in your 10th and 12th under general category, you're expecting around 280 to 290 as a score, then you can be fairly certain of getting a final call for the interview. So this is how you interpret the table. Well, the 10th and 12th are more or less same as 2019. I just made the change in the general category, but I don't expect the 10th and 12th scores to be changing too much from 2019 or 2020 for that matter. However, the cutoffs are different from what happened in 2019 and 20. So guys, I hope this short session has been useful to you, helpful to you, and I hope that you guys will plan your interviews accordingly. Thank you guys. See you soon in my other live sessions.